Hi everybody, it's Ellen from the Tiny Human Handbook, and today we are going to be talking all about the development of 3-month-olds. We're going to take that knowledge of development and use it to think of age-appropriate activities for the little ones, as well as popular top toys and gifts for that age range. This is part of my series on developmentally appropriate toys and gifts for different ages. We already have a video about the 0 to 1 month age range, 2 months, this is number 3, and we'll keep going until we run out of ages. Subscribe to the channel, you'll want to get notified when a new video comes up because, of course, as the babies get older, you're going to want to keep their toys and activities all developmentally appropriate. So today we'll be exploring developmental milestones for the 3-month-old age range. So a 3-month-old is somebody in between 12 and 16 weeks old, and we're gonna dive right into their development, what they're going through. They're actually going through a major developmental change. Some might call it a leap forward in their development. Their head circumference is growing again, their brain is growing, and we're into the world of smooth transition. So if you guys are a fan of the Wonder Weeks and you're following along with that book, this might sound right on par with what they're saying. So we're gonna be looking at increased head control. We're getting lots of practice holding that head up, whether they're being worn in a baby carrier, they're on tummy time, or even if they're laying right across your legs, working on those muscles. We may even see some social smiling. It's hard to pinpoint. I remember when my son was developing a social smile, it was hard to really distinguish that for me from, a smile caused by gas or sleepiness versus a social smile where he's trying to interact with me. It really looked the same to me, but over time, as your baby develops and gets older, I'm sure it'll be clear the differences. Now at 3 months old, we will see a better hand-eye coordination. Nowhere near what we'll see at 6 or 7 months old, but just starting to really improve that connection. I mean, we just realized that we have limbs, and now we're working to coordinate and getting a lot of practice every time we're moving our limbs. If we're watching something as well, practicing that hand-eye coordination. And we'll be talking about toys that work on that skill and can really entertain the baby that way too. I want to dive right into some common challenges and problems that parents of 3-month-olds have. You may see a little bit of a sleep regression as they are learning these developmental skills. So back before 11 or 12 weeks old, babies' movements are pretty jerky. They don't look anything like an adult's movements, an adult who's had years of practice moving their limbs around, of course. So a little 3-month-old, they are making some progress. You'll see that jerky motion when they're moving their arms and legs start to go away. Of course, this is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a gradual transition. And that's a lot of what you'll see as a physical change. Of course, we're looking at brain development. A lot of it you can't see by just observing and watching the child's movements. A lot of what's happening developmentally is internal. For example, they are starting to recognize register changes in voice. So if you're singing songs that go from a higher intonation to lower, or changing in pitch, things like that are going to start to catch your little one's attention. Or when a cloud goes by overhead, they'll start to notice that change in light and shadows. At this stage, things are starting to flow a little bit more. They're starting to organize things. They're starting to see the world as a more organized place. This new realization is not easy on the little ones when all they knew was jerky movements beforehand, and now that things are starting to smooth out, that's a whole new world for them. Kind of feels like nothing is standing still anymore. Imagine yourself in your little one's shoes or socks. Things are gonna seem like they are constantly moving. So it's common at this age for you to see a little bit of clinginess. Little one wants to be held and comforted more often. It may take them a little while to really feel like themselves again. One of the common challenges now that they're moving into this whole new world, we're gonna need to step up our game and think of new things to entertain them, because what amused them before just doesn't anymore. Another common problem for little ones is they may start to seem a bit shy around people that they don't see as often. You may have experienced this earlier on, or you may be seeing it now when they're around people that they don't recognize or they don't see every day. You may notice that they're starting to cling to you. They may cry if somebody else is holding them, and this can really be anxiety provoking for mothers or fathers. Your little one seems really uncomfortable, but then at the same time, you want them to get to know their extended family and your friends, but they're uncomfortable. So that's a common challenge. You may notice different changes in their weight. Their weight gain may be slowing down. One thing that's common to happen at the 3-month age range is seeking comfort through food or through the nursing session. Babies may start to hang out at the breast just as a source of comfort. Maybe they're slowing down their feedings or taking longer to finish a bottle. That's because they're soaking in that time with you, feeling close and comforted in something that still feels really familiar to them. And another common worry is worrying that their skills are regressing. You've seen them make progress and progress and progress week after week, learning new things. And now suddenly they're hanging to you, they're taking longer to eat, maybe they're not sleeping as well. A lot of parents may start to get worried that their little one is regressing. They seem to be really independent before, but now they're clinging to you. And you were used to seeing progress, so you might expect to continue to see it. And when you don't, maybe you'll feel concerned, and of course that's normal. But what's actually happening usually is just the fact that their world is changing. Things are speeding up, moving faster it seems, and they've got to get used to it. So while they were making progress, they've hit a huge piece of development here for them. It's like taking a bite bigger than you can chew maybe. And so you've got to step back and slow down and process and get used to that new world. Another common problem for parents at this age range is the schedule. I know for myself, I was trying really hard to follow a schedule when he was younger, and some days it seemed so easy. You know, he'd wake up right on schedule, nap right on schedule, eating, playing, everything following a pattern, and I loved it. But once we hit that 3-month growth period, having the hardest time keeping a schedule. I was trying to plan to go out at a certain time so he could nap in the car, eat when we got there, go about our business, and come back before the next nap. It was really hard to do. I felt like the schedule was throwing off balance, and it was not predictable at all anymore. And then while being out, especially if we were around other people, I'd really have to focus in all of my attention on him because he would be unhappy, you know, if too many people were looking and watching him or whatever, and you kind of start to feel trapped. Lugging around the diaper bag, I'm sure it's the fullest it's ever been, and it does get better thinking about all the things that I had to pack to go out at this age compared to, I guess, 9 months later, a whole different story. And I'll do a video on that too so you guys can see what it takes to go out with a 12-month-old. But it was truly exhausting. If you're going through that challenge, just know it's not gonna last forever, so hopefully that's comforting. Being thrown off schedule really only lasts for a short period of time, thinking, how am I gonna be able to follow a schedule and plan ahead and plan my day? What if I have a call at this time, or what if we do need to go out at that time? Things will smooth out and start to feel better. With all of that being said, of course, we're going to need to talk about strategies. What can we do to make this period easier for parents, easier for the little ones? So like I said in the 2-month video, your little one's personality is starting to develop and shine through. So at 3 months old, one strategy is dial in on their personality. Your little one is starting to notice more subtlety. If you pay close attention, you'll be able to see what they're choosing to focus on. And what they're choosing to focus on is telling you what's appealing to them. You're also going to see increasing attempts at communication. And if you guys know anything about the toddler age and how increase in communication can help dial in the tantrums or frustrations for those children at that age, it's the same principle here. So helping them work on communication and that social smile that they're starting to develop. You'll see that they're making some little coos and cute baby noises, and they're just now noticing how voices change and register. And as we were talking about them moving their limbs and their eyes and their arms and their legs, the same thing applies internally. Their vocal cords, you're gonna hear a variety of different noises. Of course, it's not gonna sound like words just yet. You may even be lucky to hear some pterodactyl screeches. I know I was. But that's just them figuring out how it feels to make different sounds. I would encourage you to make the sounds right back, or help them in front of a mirror to starting to coo and make some sounds. If there's a mirror there where they can see themselves making those movements and sounds, how fun would that be? And prior to this, when they would look towards a sound that they heard, that was mostly all controlled by a newborn reflex. That reflex has gone away, and now when they're turning their head towards something, they're doing it intentionally and reacting to a sound. So moving on to activities and fun things to do. When your little one's gurgling and making all kinds of fun noises, get them started on what a conversation looks like. You talk and I talk then you talk again. Just as a fun way to work on that bond and dynamic and help them on some early communication skills. Babies just love to have little cozy chats with their moms. Maybe pretend you guys are out at a coffee date, or actually go out on a coffee date, as long as you don't feel embarrassed to be there talking to your little one, having a cute little cozy chat, just the two of you. One thing to keep in mind here is background noises are hard to differentiate between a conversation. So if I'm talking to you one-on-one and I've got the TV in the background, or I've got music playing in the background, it's going to be harder for your little one to focus and concentrate on your register and your tone of voice and what you're saying if they also have to differentiate between other levels of noise in the background. Another idea and fun activity is introducing an O ball or a winkle ball or a little colorful or contrast or fabric ball or an object that can move back and forth that'll capture their attention. You want to keep it bright and colorful, maybe one with a rattle in it as well, or just using a rattle. What you can do for this age range is help move it along one plane of motion. And they're relying on your help. You want to be careful not to push your little one. Playing with a little ball and your little one's doing some tummy time or laying on his back, and he's working on reaching and hand-eye coordination. You're going to want to make sure you're holding it nice and close within his reach. It's already a challenge if the object is moving and now it's moving kind of in a different way than it was before. So being there to help them out, they are just learning to work really in one plane of movement. So if you're moving a ball across their view, you can move it left to right or up and down, but you don't want to do all different planes of movement, closer, further, up and down, left and right, all together. You want to keep it nice and still and organized in one plane of motion. Focusing on just one plane of movement is going to help your little one stay engaged, keep it challenging just at the right level for them. As they get older and start to work on their depth perception, we can work on moving things closer and further. But right now, we're going to want to keep things easy for them and celebrate. Oh, you're working on that language, celebrating when they're able to move their gaze back and forth. It's an exciting milestone. Another way to keep things in one plane of motion is to use a round or a rolling cylinder. This is just a old container of oats. You can use anything shaped like this, maybe even a paper towel, toilet paper roll, anything like that, just as long as it's a cylinder. And you can paint it bright, fun colors. You can put something inside so that it'll make a little rattle, and you'll roll it from one side to the other. That's going to keep it right in one plane of motion. It's not going to move up and down, but just left to right, and it'll keep it from going back and forth as well. So that is going to be one suggestion for toys for this age. Another fun toy for this age range, a little wobbling guy. Little ones that are starting to swipe at things, something that has a little reaction. They can start to work a bit on cause and effect. It's weighted at the bottom, so if they're hitting it, it'll just wobble back and forth. So it'll still be hopefully within your little one's reach when they're batting at it. Another fun toy for little ones at this age is different types of fabric. Maybe as you're doing laundry, they can touch and feel the different textures and fabrics. You've also got books, touch and feel books that are fun for this age range as well. That can make story time a bit more fun too. So hopefully that was a helpful video for you guys. Hope you learned a little bit about your little one's development and can take the next steps to think about what fun activities and toys would be great for them. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below if something you found was particularly engaging for your little one or a new skill that you notice they have at this age. Like the video if you found it helpful. Share it with another new mom to help them learn a bit about development. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.